Before we get started with factor by grouping, let's review the greatest common factor first. The greatest common factor, or the GCF. Okay, let's find the greatest common factor of some numbers and variables. What is the greatest common factor of 25 and 75? Yeah. Again, what you need to do is you need to find the prime factors of both numbers. 25 is your fix. It's 5 times 5. They're both prime, so they go in the tummy of the frogs. If you're missing the prime factorization, there's a video that you can watch. Okay, let's do the 75. 75, that's 3 times 25. Here's prime, goes in the tummy. And 25 is 5 times 5. They're both prime, so they still go in the tummy. Now, let's look what they have in common. They both have a 5 in common. So this 5 is in common. So scratch it out. But one of them in the heart. One of them goes in the heart. Now, anything else in common? This 5 is also common. Now, what is the product of what's inside the heart? 5 and 5, which is 25. So the greatest common factor is 25. Now, let's go back. Okay, 25. That's the original prime. What if we have variables like x or y or z? The base has to be the same. So, what is the greatest common factor of x to the fourth and x squared? Now you look, which one has the smallest power? That is your greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor of x to the fourth and x squared is simply the x squared. Is the least power. Okay, what about z squared and z? Well, z has a power of 2. This z has power of 1. So the greatest common factor is z. What about x, y squared and x to the cubic 1? So xy squared and x cubed y. What is the greatest common factor here? You look at each base separately. So let's look at the x's. Who has the smallest power? Well, this x has a power of 1. Let's look at the y's. Y squared and y. Who has the smallest power? Y. So this is your greatest common factor. But both bases have to be there. What if I had a z here? Do I need to do anything? No, because there's no z here. This is the only z I have. So there's no z, so it's not common. They don't have it in common. So still, this will be your greatest common factor. Okay, now let's look at how we can factor expressions or polynomials using the greatest common factor. Okay, so if I have 25 x cubed minus 15 squared 1. First, I need to find the greatest common factor in the two terms. Let's look at the numbers or the coefficient. What is the prime factor for 25? That is just 5 and 5. They're both prime, so nothing else to do. For 15, it's just 3 times 5. Again, they're both prime, so nothing to do here. What's common between the two? 5 and 4. Okay, so the greatest common factor is only 5. Now, once we pick out the 5, we need to isolate it outside. So it should be a 5, and that's your greatest common factor for the numbers. Now, there should be parentheses. Okay,